All right. It's been almost 3 hours. Team Boba Ninjas has been in the lead for most of the time. About 15 minutes ago, they started celebrating, thinking that they had won. They even got up, started wandering the conference room and looking at the fabulous Datadog backpacks that were being offered as the first place prize. However, they looked at the scoreboard and saw that team, and yes, they did make this name, and I swear it was just so I would have to say the name team 6 times in a row, had jumped ahead. Boba Ninjas thought that they were done. They looked at their console and saw that there was still one quest left to complete. 15 minutes left. Will they have enough time to come back and take the lead? This was the exciting end of a recent game day that I had the honor of running alongside with Matt, with some other TAMs and SAs from both Datadog and AWS. My name is Jeremy Silverman. I'm a senior TAM working at AWS. I've gotten to work with Datadog for the past 3.5 years. And I'm joined by Matt from Datadog, our partner. Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Jeremy. I'm so thrilled to be with you all today. When I left the TAM team here at AWS, I heard a phrase uttered from a few people, and that phrase was promoted to customer. The idea is essentially that because the customer is so highly valued here at Amazon, that any career move to the customer of Amazon was a promotion. So I was a little skeptical hearing that at the time, but I can say for sure now that I'm on the other side of the table that it's absolutely true and they genuinely meant that. And having this partnership with Jeremy has been a great example of that as well. So I've been fortunate to work alongside Jeremy and some of my former colleagues in my new role at Datadog, managing a team of TAMs there. I think we've demonstrated exactly what the partnership between Amazon and Datadog can mean. I tracked Jeremy down at our premier conference, Dash. It's similar to reInvent for the Datadog company. And Jeremy, we were surprised to learn that we hadn't actually run one of these game days for a mutual customer before. So very impressed with Jeremy's vision for how we can work together on our mutual customers and empower them and enable them. So you'll hear a little bit more about that journey today, and I think you'll find it as exciting as us.
I think we'll pass these back and forth because I don't know how this technology works. I'm sure there's a button somewhere. I do also want to apologize. I am not a professional photographer. We obviously have someone who's a little bit better. This was the only picture of the scoreboard that I had from that last event, and I did want to include that. All right. So today we're going to talk about some of the fun things that I've gotten to do with Datadog over the past few years. We're going to start with talking about how we've helped Datadog expand their global footprint. We're going to talk a little bit about managing capacity at scale. Obviously, at the scale that Datadog runs, it becomes a bit more of a cumbersome process. We're going to talk about Datadog's Graviton adoption and how they were actually able to really greatly reduce their carbon footprint by implementing a massive migration to Graviton. And then finally, we'll talk about co-hosting game days with Datadog, which is, as a TAM who's been here for about 3.5 years, my absolute favorite thing that I've gotten to do at Amazon. All right. So Datadog has a footprint in every single region that Amazon operates, mostly for their synthetics products, but their primary data center on Amazon is in US East 1, as I'm sure a number of people are. Datadog tasked us last year with looking to expand into another region. So obviously, there's a lot of things that go into expansion to another region, both from a technical and a non-technical standpoint. Technically, the first thing we needed to do was ensure that all of the services that Datadog uses are available in the regions that they were looking at. Then, we also had to make sure that all of the features within those services are available at the scale that Datadog requires. Capacity, as I will go into later, was a huge concern, making sure that we had not only the instances, but the amount of instances that Datadog requires to run their workload. And then obviously cost. We needed to figure out a way to do it as cost effectively as possible, and also look at the other costs. Not every region costs the same. And as we were just talking about Spot greatly varies from region to region. I mean, obviously it changes from day to day within every market, but when you look at US East 1 and US East 2 and the average spot prices for the same instances, you'll notice some major differences. And then, of course, service quotas limits. Have to make sure that once they are moved to the new data center and the new region, that they're able to have their process run or their services run uninterrupted. So this was great, and one of the things we were able to do as a result of this was actually build a new AWS Enterprise Support program called the AWS Passport program. So if you are an ISV, an independent software vendor, and you are looking to expand to other regions, please reach out to your account team and ask how the AWS Passport program can help you. It's both technical and non-technical assistance for expanding regionally. Capacity. So why are we talking about capacity, right? Endless capacity in the cloud. Show of hands, is anyone not familiar with ICE error? Insufficient capacity exception? So anybody who hasn't heard that, I'm very, very, very happy for you that this is not something that you've run across. We have over 750 different instance types when you put all of the different generations, sizes, 100 plus AZs, and 30 plus regions. Trying to maintain an endless capacity in all of those areas is very difficult, to put it nicely. So when you're talking about the scale that Datadog uses, it gets even more complicated. And unfortunately, I don't have a magic wand that I can wave when Datadog says, hey, can we have another 1,000 Graviton 3 instances in this AZ tomorrow? We're getting errors launching them. How can I help? So what we really needed to do was we really needed to work backwards. As I'm sure you all heard Amazon likes to do. We defined the problem, which was trying to eliminate as many ICE errors, this insufficient capacity, and make sure that Datadog was able to scale up as needed, whether they're scaling up for a surge of usage or if they're scaling up to migrate a service from one instance type to another. We had to make sure that that was uninterrupted. We worked with them on a number of different processes, including one called the Amazon Assisted Capacity Reservation, which is a way enterprise support customers can reach out through their TAM and reserve specific capacity in the future. You don't pay for that capacity until it becomes that date and it turns into a normal on-demand capacity reservation, but it allows them to plan better and get better control over their costs. Doing that, we also established communication processes between the TAMs and the people at Datadog requesting capacity. And then to take it a couple steps further, we also got them engaged with our EC2 PM and development team to talk about what's going well for Datadog and what they need out of the future generations of EC2 instances. If there are different ways that we can slice up the memory and CPU, different network and local disk volume IOPS and things like that, to really focus in on what will make Datadog be the most successful that they can be within our EC2 world. So Graviton. Graviton was a phased approach for Datadog. First, they achieved the Graviton Ready certification, allowing our mutual customers to use Datadog on their Graviton instances to really quantify how much savings they were able to get through Graviton. They were able to see that their customers were much more efficient using Graviton, which led to Datadog migrating their own infrastructure to Graviton. Starting in 2023, we worked with Datadog to move approximately 64% of their EC2 instances from Intel to Graviton. Some workloads, it was easy. Some workloads for Graviton, you can plug and play. It's very simple. Some of them were a bit more complicated, and we actually had to get some of the Datadog engineering team engaged with some of our principal Graviton developers to work through some pretty specific issues that Datadog was able to find. Most of their fleet is currently running on Graviton 3 with some Graviton 2, and we are looking to obviously move to Graviton 4, which was just announced at reInvent last year. So as a result of that, now obviously this is the best graph anyone's ever seen, and I'm sure it stands on its own, but in case you want a little more context, so from 2022 to 2023, this is our estimated carbon emissions for Datadog based on their EC2 usage. We can see that their EC2 usage was growing, their carbon emissions were growing, but at the beginning of 2023, we started that Graviton migration. And by the end of 2023, we had 11% overall emissions compared to the beginning of 2022. So they have been growing for 2 years in this point, but have 11% fewer emissions, with usage up over 22% since January of 2023. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the information back from 2022. I know that would be a much higher number, but unfortunately, I was limited on some of the information I was able to get. And finally, the thing that I really wanted to talk about, Game Days. Now, if anyone has not gotten to play in an AWS Game Day, you absolutely should. It's a non-prescriptive gamified learning. Players are broken into teams and given some limited information, usually what the problem is and what the desired outcome is, but not the steps on how to get there. From there, the players work together as a team to try to achieve the desired goal. They're awarded points. Sorry, I'm flying through this. I did not mean to do that. They're awarded points for fixing problems. They can have points deducted for wrong guesses or for getting help. And they really just work together and try to solve different quests. With these Datadog Game Days, you're not only given an AWS account, but you're also given a Datadog account. And you can use both together along with some detective work and probably some online searching to figure out how to solve something, either fix an issue, make a workload more resilient, fix a security problem, or many other things. We have a large variety of game days and game day quests. Really allows the customers to focus in on what they need to look at. We've run different game days, both at major events like reInvent, Reinforce, and Datadog Dash, which is Datadog's conference. We've recently run some online open game days to allow for larger penetration into the market. And most recently, the one that I'm most excited about, which has been these, not me. I don't know whose this is. Yeah, Life of a TAM. And for anyone that doesn't know, that is our Amazon paging system. So something is going on right now for one of our customers. The last one was the customer-specific game day, which I am now going to turn it over to Matt to talk a little bit more about why we did this, what the outcomes are, and what the next steps are.
Thank you. All right, so I'll admit when I left my role here at AWS, there were some items that had still not been crossed off of my TAM bucket list. Having the pager go off during your presentation is probably one of them. But the other one is running a game day with one of my customers. I just never got that opportunity to do it. And I had been very excited about it. It was something that I was really interested in doing here. When I ran into, that is tricky.
Very, very sensitive.
All right, I'll just scroll down manually. There we go. So when I ran into Jeremy at our Dash conference, I was surprised to learn that we had all this content already created between Datadog and AWS for these game days. And I found out we had something like 6 or 5 at that point maybe, and we created the 6th one more recently. And I was like, great, this is fantastic. But I was surprised to learn that while it was great news that we had these for our conferences, for Dash or reInvent or maybe a summit, we were delivering these, but we hadn't figured out how to deliver them like for a mutual customer yet, in a smaller environment, a little bit more private, where we could have some do an internal training day essentially. So I thought that was a really great opportunity. It took me a little while to find the right customer to be our pilot kickoff, but when I finally did find the right customer who was in the tech healthcare space, I reached out to Jeremy and immediately felt supported by both him and his team in terms of like getting that off the ground and moving it forward. So we worked with our account team. Got everyone together, and we pulled up to the customer's office with a group of TAMs from AWS, a group of TAMs from Datadog, prepared for a day of fun, competition, and learning. The goal was simple, was to drive engagement and enablement for both Datadog and AWS.
I got it.
Oh, thank you. So events like Game Day provide a unique opportunity for all 3 parties. The customer gets a fun excuse to bring their teams together where maybe they are typically virtual or even geographically dispersed. Additionally, they experience the product hands-on in a safe space where they don't have to worry about breaking production with the wrong keystroke. Finally, they get to see Datadog in action, how they can use our product in real time to solve a real potential problem. That's a powerful experience for our customers. By providing that level of deep education and enablement, we ensure that our customers have the tools to deploy Datadog at scale. And that their teams are prepared to leverage the platform for maximum return on their investment through the lowest possible MTTR, MTTD, reduced reputation risk through improved resiliency, and increased adoption of observability through their organization. Both Datadog and the team at AWS are working to scale these events so that we can host them for more customers. We are also working to see how we can more quickly develop new content, especially around features as we release them. So while this pilot event we ran, we see it as the tip of the iceberg, with no end to the potential for the future partnership and engagement to empower our customers. I'm very excited about the additional summits we've hosted, and I'm looking forward to the virtual and in-person sessions that we're going to run around the globe.
So we're gonna leave you with a call to action before we go into the Q&A. If you are an ISV and you're looking to regional expand, talk to your account team about our AWS Passport program. Sustainability, we have a whole team of sustainability experts at Amazon that can help you either reach or set your own sustainability goals. Help us, help you, help the world. And finally, AWS Game Day. Let us run an event for you. If you have enterprise support, Game Day is an entitlement that you're allowed to have. If you have, think that your team could benefit from this, whether it's from a security game day, a modernization game day, a monitoring observability game day, a cost optimization game day, or our new generative AI game days, we would love to run it for you. If you are an ISV and you think that your content would look good in a game day, we'd love to hear about that too. We have something called the Quest Development Kit, the QDK, that allows you to develop your own content, much like Datadog has, to be able to run within game days, either for your mutual customers or at events. We do have partner game day quests at reInvent every year. So with that, I think we're going to go to questions and answers. I will leave this up. It's some of the quotes that we got from some of our recent game days that we've run with Datadog.
Did you have specific sustainability goals with Datadog, or just taking advantage of the reduction in carbon footprint based on moving?
So the question was, did Datadog come to us with specific sustainability goals, or did we just kind of take that information? And honestly, we did just kind of take that information. However, Datadog is also coming to us with specific sustainability goals. I'm actually was, and the timing is great on this because Datadog reached out to us yesterday, actually, to start engaging with a sustainability expert. They have engaged their own company to kind of monitor how they're tracking against their sustainability goals. And now they're trying to compare that to the information within the AWS console around your carbon footprint to see how those match up. So more to come on that, hopefully soon. Thank you.